Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we're not seeing much of a change ahead of what's going to be an important piece of data this morning, which is ADP. Obviously, the bigger piece is going to be what they call euphemistically is the granddaddy report of them all, NFP. But the ADP certainly is a look into that number. It used to be that it would vary, from time to time. It used to be way back when it was pretty close, but lately it's been relatively near what the actual NFP number comes out. You can see here, Nasdaq just barely pulling back, but that's not until we actually came up here to, wow, 15,071. So we've come off a little bit, about 30 handles, but we're still way up here in the stratosphere. Take a look here with S&Ps. And we're at 4408. We have gone as high as 4417. So we did push these levels here. We had a pretty good pullback yesterday, and I was thinking about the S&Ps as Amanda had referred that 4360. I said it's 4368 on mine, but she was saying 4370 is like a trampoline, and certainly look at that. Look at this move here, and when you open this further, kind of gives an idea of what we might be looking at. You can see here how we've come down here to challenge that 4368, and if you take this range here and you add it there, that does take us up here around 4473, 4474, 4475. So you can see how long we've been in this range here since July 26. If we do pop up and push further, it looks like that's where we head into, but we shall see. So let's go and take a look at for the data that we have coming up with the, besides what we just addressed here, which is ADP. So we did get French services PMI came out a little while ago, and that actually came in pretty much in line. It was a tad bit weaker, 56.8. German composite PMI, 62.4 versus expectations of 62.5. Italian retail sales came out at 7.7. Well, that's year over year, though. Month over month was 0.7. And Eurozone composite PMI at 60.2, pretty much in line. We do have the UK composite PMI that will be at the bottom of the hour, as well as we will have Eurozone retail sales at the top of the hour. As we move into today, as I mentioned, we are looking at ADP. They're looking at the forecast is 695,000, should be another strong report. Last report was 692,000, and we do have Canadian building permits. We also have a market composite PMI at 10:45 Eastern, along with services and ISM, but that's going to be non-manufacturing at 11 a.m. Eastern. I apologize. That would be 10 a.m. Eastern. But obviously the big mover, nonetheless, is going to be ADP. We do have crude oil data coming out, and let's take a look where we stand here with crude. We did see, boy, this is a pretty big fall. We came all the way down here, down to 69.20. We kind of bounced back a little bit from there. And we are still very quiet here with the euro. As we talked about, these first few weeks in August, you have a lot of Europeans go on holiday, and boy, usually really cuts into any type of volume or potential volatility. And certainly it's done just that. We are just dead in the water in FX. But with that, we'll go on and take a look at the analysis. And we're not moving, so I'm not sure how much analysis will actually be, at least when it comes to FX. But we will go and take a look. You can see here, we've stayed in this range here. We're just not moving. Look at yesterday, 18, was it like about 1851-ish? Let's just call it 1850 to 1893. So 43 pip trending range. So we're not moving. And this is even pretty tight, but that's going to be support 1824. I'm going to have to move it a little bit. Well, we are not going anywhere. We'll go with 1814. And this is still going to remain key, 1924.39, because even if we do rally, it's neither here nor there until we get up in here. So there's no change there as far as resistance. Let's go and move into the cable. Same thing yesterday. Look at that. 38.82. $60 pip trading range, and we're just simply not moving. 39.47. We actually have to move this, obviously. Resistance is going to come in right there with that body. 39.60 still isn't much. Once again, we do need to allow for a little bit of volatility with this ADP report. So let's call it 39.85. And support's going to stay the same at 38.59. Moving on to the Aussie dollar. Well, we've kind of lurched a little bit further. You can see here why I've kept this here. There's a key critical weekly support level, which is now resistance, and looks like we ran out of gas just right before there. Got to 70. Well, wow, we made it to 74.24. Our resistance is 74.27. Once again, that's going to remain intact. And support. Right there, 73.53. Tighten things up now. Might be a little bit too close. Let's just go right there, 73.37. And now onto the dollar yen. So we had 895 yesterday, and we went down to 884. We're still continuing to remain under pressure. We talked about this at the beginning of the week with the weekly that we had. Said it looked like there's going to be continued pressure, and certainly we've seen that as we've gone through the week. We are rather oversold. A lot of support here. If I just don't see us getting down that low. We'll just go right here, which is 877. Upside on this. Is going to be 970. That remains the same here. And with that, we'll move into the cash dollar index. And we're still essentially going nowhere fast. Look how tight this range has been here. On the downside, still like 91.47, upside 92.40. So no changes here. And with that, we'll move into Bitcoin. So we're just kind of dripping down in here. You see here, easing back, and looks like we did make it to 37,596. We had 37,600, so we're going to keep that for now. 37,600. And resistance. We'll go right there, 38,938. And moving on to the S&Ps. This was very impressive, the way that this held out. This popped back up, and if you can see it on the 2-hour chart. So until we get a break, we're still working higher. And anybody that's trying to step in, their chance is just getting run over. I'm talking about where they short it and they just don't get out. I was thinking that in the afternoon yesterday when the S&Ps were at 4406, I'm thinking if I'm short, I'm just giving it up because you're going to get taken out. And sure enough, we went higher. And then look, we went it up all the way up to 4417. And it's just senseless because if we get beyond this area, they're just going to take off like a banshee. So it makes no sense. Resistance for now is going to be right there, 4421. And I would have thought after we got past the reports last week of those key companies, as I mentioned, Microsoft and Amazon and Netflix and so forth, I would have thought that there wouldn't be much impetus to move us higher. But well, as we talked about before, we are looking at what's supposed to be a very good NFP report. Also, we started at the beginning of the week, as I said, with they're looking at the positives, basically the glass half full, with these you can almost call it mandated vaccines from employers, and it's pulling people out. Obviously, we're seeing better numbers. Wages are definitely seeing wages increase here in the States solidly. It's going to pull more people out into the workforce. Of course, the dampeners, like I said, has been this increase in COVID vaccination COVID hospitalizations that we're seeing here in the South, primarily in Florida. Now, for as far as support, at this point, you see 43.98, and then 43.82. I'd have to go right there. 43.89. And then on to the Nasdaq. And you see right here where this critical juncture. $15,039. And you can see here, yesterday we came down here and tagged that 20-day simple moving average. And it bounced off of that. Until this thing changes, I mean, there's nothing you can really do. And the only thing that saves you at this point is the technicals, because if you keep trying to rationalize why it can't go any higher, I've been there, I've done that. You just get smoked. But if you just say, you know what, it can't get above this level. I mean, if it gets above this level, I got to get out. I mean, if you're short, then that's why I say it's the technicals that are going to go on and save you. If you're betting against this thing. And if you take a look here, what we are right now, currently, that's going to be resistance right now, 15,077, followed by 15,127. And support. We'll take a look. It's gonna be right there at 14,000. Let's just call it 935. And 14,780. $870. This is keeping it pretty close though. So beyond would be right there. And but we're not breaking at this point. But that'll probably be at 14,726. And take a look at gold. Oh, we're still meandering. No change in gold. We'll give it a little bit of room for the report. Basically, some volatility. Go back to the we've got 1824 already, so we'll just stay with, well, let's see, this low here. If we can eclipse that, that's 1825. So let's just call it 2026. And downside is still like 1802. And then on to crude. Go pullback. Let's see what we see on the profile. See this initial balance high? And that came in at 69.36. And the low yesterday was 69.19. It's pretty close. I mean, when you're using the profile, just referencing that. Resistance. Yesterday's point of control. And we're looking at RTH. 71.25. Which kind of comes close to these lows here. But the full session is 71.48. And they closed yesterday at 71.51. Let's go 71.44. And support. I still like this 69 at the top of this this IB. And confluences with that one down here. So that would give you 69.28. Let's go with that. And there it is. There we have it. There's a bias chart for today. FX isn't moving, so there's so much of analysis that we already had. I mean, we tweaked it a little bit, but obviously ADP is going to be huge. That'll be out in about another 3.5 hours. And I'll post this in the chat room. And thanks for joining us here on the European crossover webinar.